What is the one key difference between a passkey and a password? Not sure, but let's find out because I'm sold on passkeys. How can I create an unforgeable digital signature? That sounds awesome to me. That sounds awesome. Not even gonna lie. You can't forge my stuff. Yes. What are the 4 steps of logging in with a passkey? 4 steps to logging in. Should we be nervous? No, remember what happened last time. 4 turned into 1.
Yep.
How is logging in with a passkey safer than with a password? I want safer, so let's find out, shall we? Welcome back and thanks for tuning in. I'm Nick, and this is Super Simple Security Principles. Listen each week and learn how to think, not what to think. This is episode 46. The 4 simple steps of using a passkey. It is the 3rd episode of our series about passkeys, and there's still more to come, huh?
Yep. Probably 2 more, I think.
Yes. Dude, welcome back, buddy.
Yeah, it's good to be making it through this series. I'm liking it.
Dude, I'm loving this series. Like you
Yeah, go
sold
ahead.
me at the start about these passkeys. I really like passwords can be lost. They could be stolen. They could be, you know, and I feel so much safer with a key, you know. So I'm excited. Are we starting out at the beginning? Are we starting out with what's the difference between a password and a passkey, or where are we going to start, man?
Well, no, that one's gonna. So what we'll kind of do is sort of like last time. We'll end up after we get through all these things, and I think you'll probably come to it yourself. Really, again, is we kind of explain the 4 steps, the details, and then we'll really be able to kind of see in the end the one key difference. It all kind of boils down to, but it's something where you can boil that down after you get all the other steps and kind of understand them, if that makes sense. That's the best way to go
Makes
about
sense. Feels like a little bit of a tease, but
it. Hey, I got to do something like
all
that,
boils down to this one thing.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
that one thing is, you're going to have to wait and listen,
That's right. That's right. We got to tease a little bit.
right? Okay. Well, let's do it, man.
Okay. So there's 2 kinds of usages that we talked about in last episode, um, where we could use passkey as a 2FA, two-factor authentication,
Yeah.
right? Or as a password replacement. And for our purposes today, it's pretty much irrelevant. I mean, it's irrelevant how it's going to be used. We're just kind of talking about the core pieces that you'll need to understand, no matter how you're using them.
Yeah. Okay.
And of course, in each step, we'll talk a little bit about how it works in the password worlds and why, passkeys are better.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So, step 1 is the website requests proof. They say, prove who you are. You want to log in, so prove it.
Right.
Right now, in the password, what this looks like is, when it pops up asking for your password, there's a little box for you to type it in, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, again, just like with creating, most of these steps happen behind the scenes, right? So in this step, you're not going to see anything. It's invisible, but it will send, you're on your browser, you're trying to log into a website, and the website will send something to your browser saying, okay, prove it, do you have a passkey? And so what's happening though behind the scenes is important, just like with the creation. And here's the way I wanted people to think about it. It's like they're sending you a little document to sign, asking you to prove who you are, and you're going to put your signature on there and say, this is me. I want to get in, let me in.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. and they send you a new document each time. And the
Okay.
reason why that's important, this is kind of a side note, and I debate on talk about it, but I thought it was kind of interesting because if you think about a document that you sign, maybe somebody could steal it, right? You signed
Right.
one and it was stolen, right? Because that sort of thing exists in the password world. We had a whole episode actually where we talked about it needing to log out of your sessions and things, right?
Yeah.
That sort of same kind of idea. Well, that's one of the things. It's just one of those cool little features that, it's not critical for you to understand exactly, other than just to understand a little bit more what, just another little example of why passkeys protect you. Okay. It's a new document each time. That kind of
Okay.
attack is impossible because it's a new document each time.
Yeah.
That's just, quietly working for you behind the scenes. You never know that they're doing that. It's just part of the goodness of them. So
Nice.
step two is, again, where there's interaction. And this is where, just like in step two of the creation, you chose where to store your passkeys. And step two here is your device now is saying, okay, I have a passkey stored for this website, or I'm going to check anyway if I do actually. But you need to authorize it. I can't just go get into your passkeys just because this website said they wanted one.
Right.
Right. And that's right. And so, yeah, go ahead. I can see you have some
I,
thoughts about this step.
I was going to say that seems easy enough. It's going to send us a request basically to produce this.
Yep. Well,
Okay.
and the critical thing is, so you're going to have to do something that proves just locally to your device. This has nothing to do with the website right now, that it's you. And so normally that's going to be, a facial recognition, or a fingerprint, or like a device passcode,
I
something
was going to
like
say a
that.
passcode that you've probably
Yep.
set up for, like, if you've got a password manager.
Yep. Windows Hello is another one. And this is a really important step because it, like we said, it's the one place where you're involved. Everything
Yeah.
else is done for you. And so if we didn't have at least something where it's getting permission, that means that a website could just, like, the whole thing could happen without you even knowing it, right? That would be bad.
Right. Right.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, it also means that if somebody gets access to your device, it's a bit of protection, against them being able to just log in as you as well. I mean, they still might be able to, but at least there's something, your password or your passcode, your face, whatever, that helps protect it.
Right.
So,
I was going to say we're talking about a lot of hoops to jump through to try and prove who you are. Fingerprint, face, your password to a certain extent. Hopefully you've been smart with that one, especially if it's to a password manager.
yeah, yeah. If you're going to use a password to protect it, you need to have, that's the one that needs to be good. So, um, so the one main thing I wanted to emphasize here too, that is a source of confusion, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, but this access check
Mm-hmm.
is done locally on your device. It has nothing to do with your website. The website doesn't have your fingerprint. They don't have your face. They have no information of that sort about you. Okay, and you're not sending that information to you. This is just a local device permission check to see if you have a passkey stored that's connected to the website that is requesting one. Does that make
Nice.
sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. This is all local. This is proof you are who you are on your local device.
Yeah. And some people, like I've talked to, they get like nervous. They're like, they don't, because they don't obviously want this website to be like knowing anything about their face or their fingerprint, right?
Right, but it's not going there. It's
No,
stored locally. This is all
exactly.
local.
Yep.
Hence the security of it. If it was
Yep.
taking place out on the website, it wouldn't be that secure. There would be ways,
That's
but this is local. This is much more secure.
exactly. That is exactly right. Yep. The locality is a key feature.
Right.
Yep. Now in the password world, step
It's
2,
kind of like, can I say it this way?
yeah,
The thought that came to
I'm,
my mind is it's like going into a bank, you in person, and you're pulling out a photo identification, you know?
yeah,
Now, realistically, that I'm just proving who I am, and this is you proving who you are on your computer local.
yep, yeah. No, I think that's a fair comparison. Yep.
Okay.
And of course, in the password world, um, this step really doesn't exist unless you use a password manager, right? So if you use a password manager, then you would be unlocking your password vault to get that password out to then enter it in.
Yeah.
And so it would be very similar to that, right? Because like we talked about last time, passkeys are stored in password managers. So if you use a password manager currently, that flow is going to be very familiar, very similar, because they're going to be stored in a password manager. And so you always
Yeah.
have to unlock it. Same thing. Okay, now step 3. This is again where the magic kind of starts to happen. It's when you have to actually prove your identity. I mean, you already kind of did in step 2 there, right? But now you've got to take that, now that your device is convinced of who you are, now your device has to prove your identity on your behalf to the website, is really
Right.
kind of the more complete way to say that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The password version is when you type in and submit your password. That's what's going on there. But with a passkey, again, step 2 is the only place where you do anything. You don't prove this directly yourself. And so what happens is first the device looks for a passkey that's been stored that's associated with this website. And this is where the phishing protection comes in, because if you're on a phishing website, then no passkey is going to be found and the whole process
Right.
gets aborted.
Right. Makes total sense. It's
And
gonna
then,
fraudulent website doesn't work. This isn't it.
yep, because that's just part of the protocol, part of the agreed upon how things work in the passkey world.
Right.
And if one is found, then it's time for the device to prove that it's you. Now, if you remember back in step 1, that document, that
Mm-hmm.
virtual document the website sent,
That's
well,
being created every time.
exactly. What you do is you take that document and you lock it up in a little box, lock it up with your private key.
Gotcha.
Right? Now, we're the only ones who have that private key. So, locking it with our private key, is the key right there. That's the point of what we are doing. We're the only ones who know about that private key. So that's how we're proving that we are who we are. And then we
It's
send
because we're
that
willing to
locked.
lock it.
Exactly, right? And we have the ability to lock it.
Yep. We have the ability to, and we're willing to. If you think about
Yep.
it, if you're willing to lock a device, you, you can get back in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in this case, you're just locking this little document
Right. You're locking it up, secure, safe.
and
I
then
am who I am.
sending it back to the website. Okay. Now, in step 4 is where the website, they get it and they verify, your signature, so to speak.
Okay.
And they get that locked document back, right? And I know we don't really talk about like signing the document, because really what that act of, maybe we need to work on the metaphor a little bit, but basically the act of locking the document is like signing the document.
Makes sense.
I mean, we could
It's
say
like
you sign it
sealing
first
it.
and lock it up.
Back in the
Yeah.
old days when they'd make that seal. Yeah.
Yes. That's another metaphor I considered, actually. It just breaks down a little bit in terms of the public versus private, which is why I didn't like go full bore into it. But yes, it's very much like that, because, yeah. Um, and so, but they get that back, and then they use our public key to unlock it, right? Because that's how they know. The only way that they know that you locked it with your private key is
As
if
if
the
they can
only way they
unlock it.
can, exactly, because
Yep. Because
otherwise
we
they just
talked
look at
about
it.
in the
It's a
previous
box,
episode. Yeah.
right? Like it's a box, it's locked, but we don't know how it got locked. We don't know whose it is or anything else. But if we try somebody's public key and it unlocks and we get the document out that we sent them, right?
Yep.
Well, we know then that it's them because not only do they have the document we sent, but that document was locked in a way that only they could lock.
Right.
Does
That makes
that make
sense.
sense?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm referring to, this process of locking the document with our private key and the website unlocking it with our public key. That's basically how you create this, what I was calling an unforgeable digital signature.
Nice. Makes sense.
And okay. And you know, once you've done that, the website knows with perfect confidence that you know you are who you are and can just log you in at that point. Then we're done. That's and all you had to do was just that one step in step 2 of giving your permission, proving that you have access to your passkeys locally, and that's it.
Which I love that it's local. I love that it's local.
Yep.
I feel. Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're back to kind of what we talked about in the opening question, and really, what is the one key difference between a passkey and a password? And I have my way of kind of summing that up. But if you want to, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are at this stage now that we've got through what you feel like if you were going to sum it up with one difference between what their difference is, obviously relative to logging into a thing, into a
Passkeys are
website.
secure. Passwords are not that secure.
Yeah.
Like I know there's better ways to sum it up, but like I wanted to say passwords suck compared to passkeys.
Right.
Especially understanding the full process of how it's locked, unlocked, and etc. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
Well,
passkeys are awesome.
Yeah. Well, so here's how I kind of summed it up: is both passwords and passkeys, they rely on a secret as
Mm-hmm.
proof that we are who we are, right? That's the foundation of both worlds. It's a secret that
Right.
we have. But the difference is that with a passkey, you can prove that you know that secret without actually revealing the secret.
Right. Yeah, you're not. This is my password.
Exactly. And that's the big difference. It goes back to your emphasis on the local, right? We're locally doing something, right? We're locking up that document locally, which means we never have to expose that anywhere except the device that's in our hands. We could still prove that we know that secret, but with this magic of the public-private keys, instead of sending it anywhere else without revealing that secret to anybody else. And
Right.
that's the key difference.
That's awesome.
So
that's a good way to sum it up. Yours was much better, much more eloquent.
Well, yeah, well, I had a lot of time to think about it. So
awesome. So does that mean we've hit that point in our show?
Yep.
What's our call to action, buddy?
Well, still not ready to say start using passkeys. It's very similar to last episode. I just want you to share again what you learned, someone you care about, protection partner, again, is always a good choice. And at least to me, the big thing to share, anything obviously is worthwhile, I think, that, stood out to you. But is this one we just talked about, the key difference between a passkey and a password? There's so many implications of that, but just people knowing that, because it seems almost impossible if you just think about it. Well, how could you do it without revealing the secret? But if you understand, it's not that complex, right? The physical two keys metaphor, and you may not understand exactly how that works with the tech, but you can at least conceive of, okay, I can see how that could possibly happen,
Right. Right.
And okay, that's cool because it just kinds of gives you at least a glimpse, some idea of the power of passkeys and how they're different than passwords. And I think that simple understanding is worth, everybody knowing about.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think about it this way too. You know, I'm not a handyman.
Okay.
But I know the difference between like a deadbolt and what I in my simplistic head just think of as like a regular lock. Like I'm sure there's probably some name for that, right? But I don't know what that is, right?
Right.
But so I don't understand the internals of a deadbolt or a one really well. I've changed out doorknobs barely, although usually I had one of my kids or my wife do it because they're typically handier than I am. Say sorry, I'm a computer guy, handyman not so much. But anyway, I know that like I want a deadbolt on my front door,
Right.
right? But probably not on any of my internal doors, my bedroom, whatever. I don't really need a deadbolt,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so that's kind of the level of understanding. I'm not saying everybody needs to understand like all the mechanics of the passkeys, but there's just a few key elements that I think in order for them to be able to, comfortably and confidently start using passkeys, there's just these few key pieces of understanding that takes a little bit to explain, but once you get it, at least based on my experiment with you, this is kind of a new technology. And so I haven't had nearly the opportunities and experiences explaining to people. So this is kind of a new area, and so I'm curious to see, but so far I'm happy with anyway how well it seems to have hit with you, and we'll keep refining it a little bit, of course. But
Yeah.
um, anyway, these are the things that I feel like the level of understanding that people need to have to be able to use them, and so that's all we're aiming for,
Perfect. We're keeping
So
it super simple.
that exactly that's the hope, that's the idea. So
Right? Yes.
yep,
Okay, well, there's our call to action and what we're trying to accomplish with this new cool technology. So, yeah, explain to a loved one, someone, anyone, what you learned and why it's applicable, and especially the difference between the two. See if you
yep,
can explain that to someone else, because if you can, you're probably going to be like me and think passkeys are awesome. Let's ditch the whole username and password idea and go straight to passkey. Everybody
yep.
adopt this. Let's do it.
Yeah, because it actually makes usernames unnecessary as well, which we didn't really talk about, but it does. It uniquely identifies you, which apparently was intuitively obvious to you after talking about all this, which is cool too.
Right. Yeah.
So,
I
yeah,
love it. I love it,
cool.
man. I want passkeys.
Yeah, I know. I'm hoping there's some obstacles still, but and speaking of which, I think we'll see. I haven't finalized it yet, but I'm hopeful that the next episode we might actually answer the question: should you start using passkeys? Unless something
Fair
else comes
enough.
up where I feel like we got one more prep episode before there, then we might be there.
All right. Yes. Yes. There's
Okay,
our
and
show.
that's
Yes.
yep,
Okay, that's our super simple show today. If you're not a member of the IHP Academy already, please come join us for free. Stop searching the whole internet for answers and never knowing who to trust. Ask us instead. We made it super simple to find us, and it only takes 2 minutes to sign up. Just visit helpmegetsafe.com. Enter your name and your email. You're in. You can also find the link in our show notes. Thank you for joining us and make it a great day. Bye-bye.